Everybody being here. Just really want to recognize, I know you guys got a chance to talk to our cross-country, soccer, and volleyball coaches. We have amazing coaches here at Colorado State, and those are all fine coaches, and we're really excited for their falls and just want to wish them the best of luck as they start their fall season as well. We've had 2 weeks of training camp. Just really pleased with the new additions that we brought to this team. I think we have more depth. We're definitely a bigger team. You know, we're a full inch taller at every position. And we've got key pieces of experienced players that have added competition to key positions on our team. For example, you know, we got Tavis Tuioti, we got Drew Cannon, and Oliver Jervis in the offensive line at guard. Those are three guys that can all start for us and play physical football. We got three guys at offensive tackle, and Savion Henderson, Drew Moss, Bobby Lawrence, and really Ryan Crespo. We got four guys at tackle that are playing super competitive football for us. And that's an example. That's just an example of our entire football team. We got Dylan Goffney at wide receiver, and his presence has really put pressure on Lewis Brown and Justice Ross Simmons, and you can see them practice with focus and attention and sense of urgency, and we never had that last year. The new additions on defense, you know, in the secondary, Dom Jones from North Dakota State playing at corner along with Chiggy. They may be two of the longest corners that will line up and play all season. Ron Harge at corner, transfer from Oregon State. It's just added competition to an already pretty good group in the secondary. And so I'm just really pleased. You know, we made a decision today not to scrimmage with everybody. We wanted to scrimmage our young guys. I really think we're getting unbelievably great work against each other in practice, and we can get what we need without going live, and we could take our two deep healthy to the first couple weeks of the season. So we got a couple more days, camp Friday and Saturday, and we're going to do a lot of special situations that we need to get ready for games. We'll work at some upcoming opponent stuff, but then come next Monday we'll be working on Washington State. So really excited to get to this point with this group of kids. We're not the same football team we were a year ago. We're much more mature. We've had some incredible team meetings where we're getting to know each other, and the maturity of the kids on this team is special. I mean, we got guys like Dallin Holker from BYU. He's married. He's already been on his Mormon mission to Chile. He just gives us a different sense of maturity at tight end than we had a year ago. Oliver Jervis got married this summer, our transfer left guard from Monmouth. He's played a lot of football. He's been a starter for several years. He brings that stability and that everyday dependability of a mature man that we need in the offensive line. Those are just a couple of examples, but just really encouraged by the spirit and soul of this team, and we've had a couple really good weeks.
Did you see the progress that you wanted to see in scrimmage two, from what you performed in scrimmage one?
Yeah, I think, you know, we're finding our identity on offense. I think we're a football team that's being built for a 12-game fight. I mean, these games are going to be really hard. They're going to be very physical. We have to be a team that can execute over and over and be really good in situational football. I mean, I expect to play a lot of close games this year, and it's going to come down to the 2-minute drill at the end and the field goal kicker and how we can execute. But, you know, I told the kids today, you know, when we win games, it ain't going to be a fluke. It's going to be because we're better. We're better than the other team. And I honestly can say there's not a team on our schedule we don't match up well against. We just got to play well. And so, you know, I think that's our mindset. You know, we got a group of guys that have been kicked around a little bit, that are tough guys, they're prideful guys, and I feel like that they are ready to start gelling and playing as a unit, and that's what's been fun to see.
You had a jump start in the spring. Some of the transfers came in then. You got a chance to work with them. Oliver, Drew, those guys could get settled. Who are the guys that have come in since this fall that have played well enough that they're now in your plans, or you're at least looking for them to
Yeah.
depth?
You know, Andrew Cannon is a guy that started for us at Nevada. He was hurt a year ago. He didn't play much, but he's as big and good looking as any right guard you'll ever see. And, you know, he's played some tackle for us. He's played some guard for us. He could play center for us. And he's moved his way into the right guard position. You know, him and Tavis are kind of rotating. We could play all those guys in the starting unit. But I would say Andrew Cannon is a guy that, you know, we didn't have in the spring. You know, Robert Noyce, our field goal kicker, has been impressive. You know, he's done a good job all through camp. He's got a live leg. You know, we're just trying to really identify, you know, where his limits are and where he can kick from. You know, those are a couple examples of guys. You know, Dylan Goffney is another guy that came from SMU, played a lot of football. He can play X, he can play in the slot, he can play outside. But I think the biggest thing is he brings a veteran presence, how to practice, how to prepare, that just makes our young receivers better. It makes all of them more competitive. Lewis Brown has had a great camp. You know, he's starting to grow up, understand how to practice. Same thing with Justice Ross Simmons, but Dylan Goffney's presence makes that whole situation different. You know, if a guy's not on top of his game, he's not going to play. And I think until you have that in your program, you really can't hold your players accountable for the way they practice, the way they prepare, and the way they play. Unless they have somebody behind them that can take their spot, you just don't get everything you can out of good players. And so we challenged them all to be better. You know, guys that were inconsistent starters, they got to be solid starters that play winning football. Guys that were solid starters last year got to be all conference players. Everybody's got to get better. Guys like Torrey and Jack Howell that were all conference, they got to be NFL caliber draft pick type players. And so it's our job to hold them accountable and make everybody be better. And if we do that, we're going to see a lot of progress on the field.
Given the unsettled and volatile state of college football, to what extent is this program on stage or auditioning this year for an
I've been auditioning ever since I started coaching. So I just think that's part of it every year. So, you know, I know you got a story to write, but I mean, we're always auditioning to be our very best. And so, you know, you just look at the end of the season when they make coaching changes. If you don't perform, you're going to be part of that list. So, I mean, I don't look at it like that. I look at it as an opportunity. I think Colorado State has worked very hard to put its program in position to have a championship type program. We're working towards that. We're building a football team, and you know, you can't take shortcuts in that. You have to recruit good young players. You got to develop them. You have to make them accountable, and you got to get them to perform week in and week out. And that's where we are as a program.
And media.
Did they ask you about realignment and potentially you'll go somewhere else?
Not really. I mean, I think they're just like you and me. They see stuff in the paper, and you know, really the only thing we can control is playing good, playing the best we can, and I believe if we play the best we can, good things are going to happen. You know, I know this: the winner of our conference has got a heck of a chance of playing the Fiesta Bowl, and that's pretty good motivation for anybody. You know, next year, you know, when they put the 12-team playoff together, I mean, you know, whoever wins our league's got a chance to move on and play in the playoffs. So I think we got plenty of things to motivate us.
At Mountain West Media Days, you were telling us about how, you know, partway through last season, you said couldn't feel the team. You couldn't feel the
Yeah.
team. And then earlier, you know, you were saying, you know, you are right now. How different is it this, you know, now compared to this time last year?
We have a different group of guys. We have a much more mature group. We have a group that really cares about each other and likes each other. This is a fun group to be around. You know, we've been practicing winning every day, And, I mean, we sing the fight song at the end of every practice, just like we won a game, and we've been practicing that. And so it's a different group. We got guys that are super excited to be at CSU. We have guys that are looking at this season as an opportunity of a lifetime and something that they've been working on for years. And so that's what college football is about. And so this is a much different group. I can feel and understand this group much better. And I'm looking forward, to the next couple weeks. It's going to be important for us rolling downhill for this first game, how we can execute and really start fast. We got to start fast this season. There's a sense of urgency to do that. And, these next few weeks are going to be really important.
I'm sure there's an element of not knowing exactly what you're going to get until live game action, but do you, I guess, feel more confident and comfortable in knowing what you're going to have, week one?
Yeah, I know. I feel a lot more. I have a lot more comfort in our team. I think our leadership is more. We have more leaders. We have more older players that really are dependable people, that are consistent people. I think the challenge for every team is to be able to play as hard as you can and execute at a high level. And that's what we're trying to get. It takes a certain amount of focus to do that and a certain amount of energy to do that. And, and that's the challenge. And we got a challenging schedule. It's going to be a challenge every week, whether we're at home or on the road. But being able to answer that challenge and have confidence that we could play at that high level is what we're looking for. And to do that, you got to practice that way every day. And this is a more mature group that really understands that. And I've been pleased with their progress so far.
Coach, you talked a little bit about Dallin Holker. Can you just tell us a little more about your expectations for him and what having a versatile tight end like him can do for this style of offense?
One of the issues we had a year ago is that we didn't have anybody that would attack the field in the middle of the field. And when you have a really good tight end, he's like a safety blanket for your quarterback. Dallin's a guy that really is mature. He understands how to get open. He's an excellent route runner. He's got big-time hands, and he's made a ton of plays in practice. And Clay and him have spent a lot of time this summer together, watching film, throwing routes on air, throwing 7-on-7, talking about adjustments. And that's how you get chemistry. And I just think Dallin is a perfect type guy for our system. He's really smart. You can do a lot of things with him, and it should be a lot of fun to see him become a playmaker in this offense.
What kind of growth have you seen out of the rest of the quarterbacks? I mean, I don't think you want to have to play all four again.
Right.
Is there anybody that has an edge for that too?
I tell you what, I've really been impressed with the young guy. Jackson Bouchot, he's a three-time state champion in the state of Utah and Lehigh. He's been really excellent this week. Really calm in the pocket, very accurate, and he's a real student of the game. And I think the biggest thing at quarterback with these young guys is, when we put in plays and have adjustments, when we go to practice and you have those adjustments, when you can call the right play and execute that play, your teammates learn to have confidence in you. And he's been able to function without making major mistakes, and that's been very impressive. So, I really think this past week he's probably been the most impressive backup. Braden Fowler has also had a good camp, and that's going to be important. We challenged all of our twos that you got to be starters. You got to be prepared to start. If something happens to one of our starters, we got to be able to function and operate as if you were number one. So, but those two have been the most impressive.
You mentioned Dylan Goffney, just helping Lewis and Justice out, just kind of bringing them competitively every day in practice. But for Dylan on the field, I mean, what does he bring to you guys, and how much of a weapon can he be for you guys?
Just experience. I mean, SMU, a lot of air raid concepts, very similar to us, up-tempo style play. So it's something that he's used to. He's played in games. He has savvy. And I think just being prepared and ready to go, taking the game plan to the field, showing the younger players how to be a pro, how to handle yourself and practice every day. And I think just that, just the pressure of another guy that can do that, really makes you step your game up. And I think that, let's face it, Lewis and Justice had to play last year because we didn't have anybody else. And so they were freshmen that were kind of forced into gameplay. We have more competitive players now. We're deeper. We have 7 new freshman receivers that coming in that are athletic and capable of playing. So I think the competition that Dylan's added has helped all those guys be better.
Coach, you mentioned the 2-minute drill. We saw you practicing a little bit, but how does your offense adapt to the 4-minute drill? Coming from behind is one thing, but protecting the lead is something else.
Yeah, it's a good question. I think that's going to be probably one of the biggest areas in college football that is going to change in the game. I mean, the clock is going to run until you get under 2 minutes, if you have a first down. And so, the third and fourth quarter are going to go fast. And if you have a lead, it's going to be important that you keep the lead. And I feel good about our plan to run the football and be able to hold the ball from opponents. We've worked really hard on that in the off season and put a plan together for that. It's probably the most difficult thing to practice because you have to have officials and manage the clock and clock management. But as far as the schemes, we've been working those in practice, and we're actually going to get some work on that here the next 2 days, Friday and Saturday.
Jay, you mentioned you anticipate a lot of close games this year. What is it about this group? What sort of signs have you seen that you're going to be ready to win, those testers at the end of the game?
Yeah, I mean, I think it comes down to how you practice every day. You have to prepare. You have to play efficient. We practice a lot of situations. Today we had a 2-minute drill. We had short yardage goal line. We had red zone. We practice fourth downs every day. So just really being good in situational football is important. We want to have a smart team. We talk a lot about those special situations, and we've got to have things we can hang our hat on in the run game and the pass game. But then we have to have situational knowledge and be good in those areas to be able to execute in close games. And so that's the way our practices are designed. We do it every day. We practice 2-minute all the time. I thought they were pretty sharp today. We scored twice in the 2-minute. And those situations come up in games, and we'll do that throughout the season. We practice 2-minute every Monday, good on good. It's a real high energy drill, and it's amazing how many times those situations come up in games. It happened in the Nevada game last year.
You talked about kind of those grinded out games and going off of that. What do you kind of look at in that offense? Are you looking to get that through the running game, or are you just trying to get the ball into the weapons through the season?
No, we got to be able. Number one, I think we really went back and looked at our keys to victory, and we want to play great on special teams. We want to eliminate minus yardage plays. I think that's the biggest thing we've been focusing on offensively, is being efficient and eliminating the minus yardage plays and not giving up sacks, always getting positive yardage in the run game, always getting positive yardage in the pass game. And the other part is keeping the ball. The other thing is we really do want to outrush people. I know we love to throw the ball. We got a lot of good receivers. But I think we want to be able to outrush our opponent, and I think that's going to be the difference in close games. And so, really love our running backs. I think we're better at running back. I think we're better at the O-line, and I think we're better at tight end to be able to do that.
Obviously, Mo. We all know what he can bring. But what about some of those young defensive ends? Are you seeing guys like Newer and others, take their opportunities?
No doubt. I think Newer Gottooth has had a great camp. He's such a dynamic player. He can pass rush. He has great energy. Tony Pierce, our transfer from North Dakota State, has had an excellent camp. Kende. We have a number of defensive ends that we could pour at opponents. And I also think we have sub packages where we can get different guys on the field that can rush. And, we have turned the heat up on Grady Kelly and Cam Baratow as well, and James Mitchell. We think they could be guys that can rush the quarterback and get more sacks. And so we're really excited about turning that group loose on people. I think we could play more man coverage too. which will allow that rush to get after the quarterback. You know, having a guy like Dom Jones, he's a big, long guy. It's hard to get away from those long guys like Chiggy and Dom, Ron Harge. And so I just think we've added an extra dimension to what we can do defensively. And, you know, we want to get more sacks. We want to create more turnovers. And so turning that rush loose is going to have a big part of that.
We've been around a lot of great receivers, not just in your time in college and the NFL as well, but where does Torrey rank in terms of just how special the talent is that you've been able to be around in your career?
I mean, I think Torrey is just like a lot of our really good ones we've ever had. I mean, the latest one is Romeo Dubs. I mean, when I was at Oklahoma, I had Kenny Stills and Ryan Broyles and Sterling Shepard, and but Torrey's just like those guys. He's just a relentless worker, you know. And I think the greatest thing about Torrey is, yes, he has natural ability, but he works so hard. He's such an unselfish teammate. He has great practice habits like Romeo Dobbs did, and he's just always trying to get better. I think the biggest part of his game is expanding is his leadership. I mean, he knows he's got a bunch of young pups, and they're good kids. They work hard. They're athletic, but they need to learn how to practice. And he just goes out there every day and shows them that. And so I was really proud of Torrey last year. We weren't very good on offense. He was our best weapon. He just came out there every week and tried to help us win, whatever he could do. He never complained. And I think that's the biggest tribute to him as a player. And I think he can have even a better year this year.
Do you see him just kind of enjoying the offense? Obviously, we've talked about how Dallin is going to be a big boost for him. Obviously, bringing guys like Dylan and, you know, the freshmen like Justice and he'll be stepping up is going to help him out. Do you see him just enjoying practice on a daily basis? Last year, just double coverage constantly.
Yeah, I don't think there's any question. And I think adding, you know, having Avery and Kobe Johnson in there running back, I just think we have more weapons. We have more legitimate weapons. We have veteran players that have played in tough games, and that helps us. I mean, you know, I think that's something to note. I mean, we got transfer kids, but Kobe Johnson's played a lot of college football. He's not a new player to competitive situations. Dallin Holker's played a lot of Division I football. You know, our offensive line, you know, the four new starters, they all played over 600 snaps last year. So they're not new to playing consistent hard-nosed football. And so that gives me a lot of encouragement as a coach that we have guys that have been through the fire that are getting chemistry together, and I think that'll translate into more consistent play for us offensively.
You were pleased with the special teams play after the last scrimmage. Has that continued over the last week?
Yeah, you know, I think we could have been a little bit cleaner today, but you know, one of the things, adding depth with some of the transfer players that we brought in, we're going to have more talent on special teams, and we're going to play our best players, you know. And I mean, guys like Jack Howe and Henry Blackburn and Torrey Horton and Dallin Holker, I mean, those guys are all starters on special teams. They're not coming off the field, and we're determined to play our best players on teams. You know, it's the number one category that correlates to winning. When we win special teams, you know, we win almost 80% of our games in the last 6 years. And so, you know, we got a chance to be special. I mean, I really like our punter. I think Patty's going to have a much improved year. I like our field goal kicker. Torrey Horton's one of the best return men in our league. I think we're going to put, you know, Kobe Johnson and Avery back on kickoff return. So we're going to have two veteran guys back there. That's exciting. You know, when you can line up and make big plays, anytime you have a special team, that's a good thing. And so it's an exciting group, and one that we're going to hang our hat on this fall.
Is it surprising to you that some coaches are more hesitant to play some of their better players on teams, given that one play can make or break the game?
Yeah, I hope they keep that philosophy. You know, I just feel like if our players are better than the players on the other team in those kicking situations, we can get big plays. And you know, our punt unit's a big play unit. I mean, we try to use Patty as a weapon. We're going to move the ball around and make their punt returner try to field the ball, a tough ball to handle. Punt return is a weapon with Torrey back there. You know, our kickoff return, I think we're going to have veteran guys back there that can handle the ball, that have played in big games. So I just think we're in a better situation. You know, there's an old saying, you know, when you have to start a freshman, you probably lose a game for every freshman you start, and it ends up being pretty close to being true. I just don't see our football team having to do that this year. We have veteran players. We don't have to force any young players into positions to play that they're not ready for. And I think we're just in a much better place roster-wise than we were a year ago.
How valuable was it for you to come into year 2 with your staff intact? Nobody leaving, you didn't have to replace anybody.
You know, it was big. I worked really hard in the off season. It was probably one of our biggest recruiting job was to keep our staff together. You know, we had some Power 5 teams offer a couple of our defensive coaches, Coach Banks and Coach Buda, you know, and we were able to make it work out to be able to keep those guys. I just think it's so important, especially in your first 2 years, to keep your staff intact. It's hard for players to learn new coaches, and when you have that consistency of keeping your coaching staff intact, I think your players feel more comfortable and you see their progress. And so I was very pleased that we could keep our staff together and you know, and add to this football team.
When you talk about the advancement in spring camp, how much of that plays a role in the fact that you are where you are now?
No, I think it's critical. I mean, hearing the same voice and trying to build on things that we did last year, you know, both offensively and defensively, and the consistency of the message, I think that really helps players settle down. You know, and you guys mentioned all the different, you know, instabilities in college football. You know, when you have constants and kids are comfortable with what they're hearing and what they're being asked to do, I think they respond better.
With the added perspective of year and a half, calendar-wise, how big a hole was this program in when you came?
I don't know. It's kind of like, you know, if your car breaks down, you don't really know what's wrong with it till you open up the hood, right? So I mean, we found out some things. You know, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, there's only one player on offense that's still on the team from which we took this team over. That's Ryan Crespo. I mean, everybody else is gone. So we basically had to rebuild the whole offensive part of this team with new players and veteran players, and it's hard to do that in one recruiting cycle. We did the best we could last year. You know, we had young quarterbacks a year ago that we really liked, that we thought were talented. If we would have had a veteran guy, we probably would have rode with them that we liked, but we didn't. And so we felt it was best to play the young kids, take our medicine. And we had a lot of young kids that we played last year we had to take our medicine with. Those kids should be better this year from that experience. We've added some veteran talent to that group to help solidify it and settle it down. And, you know, the hardest position, I think, when you take a program over, if a program hasn't been winning, you're usually not very good in the offensive line. And let's be honest, that was the case here. And we worked really hard to build that up and to make that a competitive, solid group. And I like the guys we have in there. We're more physical, we're more mature, and, you know, really I think that's a key to the season. If we could play consistently in that group, I think we're going to see a lot of improvement.
Got about 2 weeks until week 1. What's like the biggest thing you would like to see from this squad between now and then?
We got to elevate every day. We got to play with a sense of urgency, and really we got to master our techniques and refinements of these schemes that we're working. And you know, we've already been working on a lot of stuff we're going to use in the first game, but now really dialing in and focusing on those things that are going to help us be good in week 1 and both sides of the ball. And you know, we'll start to break after Saturday. We'll break up into scout teams and really work with a veteran 2 deep and really zero in on the things we got to do to play well.
You said a couple of times that you feel like this group can match up pretty well with the Pac-12 teams on the schedule. What is it about this roster that you feel like, you know, has you in a good position to hang with the Pac-12?
I think we're better with our big people. You know, our defensive line is pretty deep coming in, but I think our offensive line has practiced well every day against that group, and we're more competitive. We understand the schemes we want, you know, and we're not going to try to reinvent the wheel. We're going to try to get really good at some things, let our kids feel confident and physical doing those things, and then let our playmakers play. And I'm confident that, you know, that our big people are going to be able to play well against whoever we play against. And we're gonna have to hang our hat on those guys. Our offensive, defensive line, we're gonna go as they go. I think our skill players on both sides of the ball will match up well with anybody we play. But I think the difference is gonna be in the trenches.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.